Chapter 1. Departure. The orbital station of Aloris loomed above the azure seas of my homeworld like a second moon, its silver spires glittering in the pale light of our twin suns. I stood on the docking platform, my tail swaying with restless energy, and gazed at the human transport ship that would carry me across the stars. So strange, I thought, my ears twitching at the faint hum of its idling engines. The vessel was bulky, its armor plates heavy and angular, unlike the sleek, graceful ships of my people. It looked like something hewn from a mountain, rather than built in the vacuum of space. This was to be my first journey beyond the Aloris system, my first steps toward enlisting in the Interstellar Assembly's forces, a choice my matron had deemed bold, even reckless. "You'll be surrounded by strangers," she had warned. "Some of them will see you as a curiosity, others a threat. Humans, especially." She had trailed off, her expression unreadable. "But perhaps you will thrive among them." I inhaled deeply, savoring the faint tang of ozone that permeated the station. Aloris's atmosphere was sharp and vibrant, filled with scents that could only be born of a death world. I would miss it, as I would miss the warmth of my matron's wisdom, the familiarity of my pack's laughter, and the soothing chants of the dawn chorus. But this was my path. The assembly needed warriors, and the galaxy needed peacekeepers. My people had a saying: the sharpest fang is honed in silence, not comfort. The human ship's boarding ramp lowered with a clanging hiss, and my ears perked at the sound of heavy boots echoing against metal. A group of humans disembarked, their movements deliberate, confident. They were clad in simple uniforms, their helmets tucked under their arms. Their eyes, small, intense, and unsettlingly direct, swept over the gathered passengers, pausing briefly on me. I flicked my tail, straightened my flowing robes, and met their gaze with calm determination. I had studied their culture extensively in preparation for this journey. Humanity was a contradiction in motion, reckless yet methodical, destructive yet fiercely protective. Unlike most species in the assembly, they clung stubbornly to their traditions, their ways of thinking. They preferred railguns to plasma weapons, armor plating to shield generators. Their ships were flying fortresses built for war rather than elegance, and yet they were survivors, products of Earth, their Class 6 death world. Their history was one of conflict, hardship, and triumph. They fascinated and unsettled me in equal measure. "Passengers for the assembly station, prepare to board," a human voice called out, amplified by a translator device. The tone was clipped, authoritative. I adjusted the strap of my satchel, its contents carefully chosen, a ceremonial blade, a small holoprojector with images of my pack, and a handwritten journal. My claws clicked softly against the metal floor as I stepped forward, joining the line of passengers. The human officer standing at the ramp gave me a curt nod. "Welcome aboard," he said, his voice rough but not unkind. I nodded in return, suppressing the urge to bare my teeth in a friendly gesture. I had learned that humans did not interpret such expressions as welcoming. Their bodies lacked the subtle communication cues of my own kind, no flick of the ears, no swish of the tail. Words were their primary tools, crude and often insufficient. Inside, the ship was dimly lit and utilitarian. The corridors were narrow, the walls lined with exposed conduits and reinforced bulkheads. I felt a pang of longing for the open, sunlit spaces of Aloris. But I reminded myself of my purpose. Discipline and mercy, I thought, repeating the mantra my matron had taught me, pragmatism and strength. As I found my assigned quarters, the low hum of the ship's engines deepened, signaling our impending departure. I settled onto the small, rigid cot, my ears swiveling to catch the faint vibrations of the hull. The journey to the assembly station would take 2 months, a long time to adapt to human company and their peculiar ways. I closed my eyes, envisioning the path ahead. The assembly's forces were a melting pot of species and cultures, each bringing their strengths to the table. I would be one among many, yet my instincts told me that humans would leave an indelible mark on my experience. They thrived in chaos, in the face of danger and conflict. Perhaps in time, I would understand why. The ship shuddered as it broke free of the station's docking clamps. I felt the subtle shift of artificial gravity as we accelerated into the void. My tail curled around my ankles, a gesture of self-comfort. I whispered a quiet prayer to the huntress, the guardian spirit of my people, asking for guidance and strength. The stars outside the viewport stretched into streaks of light, and Aloris grew smaller until it was just a shimmering speck among countless others. My journey had begun. Chapter 2. Among Strangers. The first week aboard the human transport ship was a kaleidoscope of new sights, sounds, and experiences. It began with an overwhelming flurry of introductions. Humans seemed to delight in learning my name, repeating it in their strange accents until they got it right. Lirani, they said, each syllable weighted differently depending on the speaker. They smiled as they spoke, their teeth exposed in a gesture I was still adjusting to. Among my people, bearing one's fangs was a challenge or warning. For humans, it seemed to mean everything from joy to reassurance. I soon discovered that they were as curious about me as I was about them. Their questions came rapid fire. Did my tail help with balance? Was my fur difficult to clean? Could I hear as well as their dogs? I answered as best I could, though I wasn't entirely sure what a dog was. It's like a smaller version of you, one human explained, a grin splitting his face. Except not as smart, no offense. None taken, I replied, though I couldn't decide whether to feel flattered or insulted. The humans were quick to share their own stories, weaving tales of past missions, encounters with pirates, and narrow escapes from hostile star systems. One crew member, a tall woman with close-cropped hair, recounted a skirmish where her ship had disabled a pirate fleet single-handedly. "They thought they had us outgunned," she said, her voice laced with pride. "Didn't realize our rail turrets were dual-mounted. First shot shredded their shields, second shot tore through their engines. Clean and efficient." I tilted my head, intrigued. Dual-mounted? But why the delay between shots? "To break shields and then hit the hull," she explained, mimicking the recoil of a turret with her hands. "Energy shields can recover fast, so timing is everything. The second rail shot punches through before the shield can cycle." It was ingenious, I realized, brutally efficient in a way that resonated with my own people's pragmatic mindset. Yet, I couldn't help but notice the reverence in her tone, the way the humans spoke about their technology, as if it were a trusted companion. Despite the utilitarian design of the ship, there was an undeniable sense of security aboard. The corridors were narrow but sturdy, the walls lined with dense alloy plating. It wasn't sleek or elegant, but it felt indomitable. I overheard seasoned travelers, a mix of species from reptilian Zarniks to the luminous jellyfish-like Arendari, discussing this very topic in the common lounge. "It's the safest way to travel," a Zarnik hissed, their scaled hands gesturing animatedly. "You hear stories about pirate raids on assembly vessels, but no one's foolish enough to target a human ship." An Arendari chimed in, their bioluminescent tendrils glowing softly. "The assembly denies it, of course, but it's true. Even the oldest human ships can shrug off energy weapons. Their armor doesn't just resist, it adapts." "Adapts?" I echoed, my ears perking up. The Zarnik nodded. "It melts when struck, but re-hardens almost instantly, becoming more resistant to subsequent hits. They say it's a relic of Earth's harsh conditions, where even the metals had to survive extremes." I had seen the ship's armor from the outside, thick, unyielding, and scarred with countless battle marks. Yet to think it could endure such punishment and grow stronger, it was a testament to humanity's ingenuity. One of the human crew members overheard our conversation and laughed. "It's true. These old birds can take a beating. Back during the Tenebris conflict, we had ships that had been in service for over a century. Energy weapons would light up the hull like a fireworks show, but they'd barely leave a scratch." I found myself marveling at the humans' resilience, their refusal to embrace the sleek, shielded designs of other species. Where others sought elegance, humanity pursued durability. It wasn't just their technology, it was their nature. By the end of the first week, I had begun to understand why so many species found humanity disarming. They were welcoming in a way that felt almost familial, eager to share their stories and learn yours. Even their jokes, often self-deprecating or filled with strange references to Earth, had a way of putting you at ease. One evening, as we gathered in the lounge, a human named Marcus recounted a tale of narrowly avoiding a black hole. "Captain said, 'Punch it!' and the whole crew was screaming, "Not that hard!" He doubled over with laughter, and soon the entire room was laughing with him, even those who clearly didn't understand the humor. I couldn't help but smile. Their joy was infectious, their camaraderie palpable. It was a stark contrast to the reserved, disciplined demeanor of my own people. Yet as I listened to their laughter and watched their easy interactions, I felt a small pang of homesickness. Still, I reminded myself of my matron's words: discipline and mercy, pragmatism and strength. I had much to learn from these humans, and perhaps they had something to learn from me as well. As the ship sailed through the void, I found myself looking forward to the weeks ahead. Humanity, for all its contradictions, was proving to be a fascinating enigma. And as I settled into this strange new world, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was exactly where I was meant to be. Chapter 3. A Display of Precision. The ship shuddered violently, pulling us out of FTL travel with an abruptness that sent a chill down my spine. My claws dug into the armrest of the chair I'd taken in the common lounge as an unfamiliar voice crackled through the comms. "Attention, human vessel!" the voice sneered, dripping with malice. "This is Captain Ralzak of the Fang Dreadnought. Power down your engines, surrender your cargo, and prepare to be boarded. Resist, and you'll be reduced to scrap." Before I could process the threat, the humans around me began moving with practiced precision. The crew members left their posts in the lounge, their jovial expressions replaced with steely focus as they rushed to their stations. Even the ship's passengers, aliens of various species, showed no signs of panic. Instead, they began murmuring amongst themselves, some even smiling. One Zarnik leaned against a bulkhead, their scales shimmering under the dim light. "Well, well, it's been a while since I've seen a dreadnought taken apart. Anyone care to wager on how many volleys it'll take this time?" A ripple of excitement passed through the group as others chimed in. "5 volleys, an Arendari declared, their tendrils glowing softly. 4, said a reptilian Hethak, baring their teeth in amusement. I blinked in disbelief. They were gambling? On the outcome of a battle? The Zarnik turned to me, their golden eyes gleaming. "And what about you, Aloramian? How many volleys do you think the humans need?" I hesitated, my ears flicking as I considered my options. My people valued mercy, even against our enemies. Surely the humans wouldn't prolong the conflict unnecessarily. 3 volleys, I said quietly, earning a few curious looks. 3? Optimistic, the Zarnik chuckled, but they added my bid to the growing list. Before long, the human captain's voice came over the intercom, calm and confident. "Attention, passengers. We've encountered a pirate vessel, a Fang-class dreadnought. To keep you informed, we've projected the tactical data in the common lounge. Please remain in your current areas until the threat is neutralized." Neutralized. The word hung in the air, heavy with certainty. The hollow projector in the center of the lounge flickered to life, displaying a rotating image of the pirate ship. It was massive, bristling with weapons and energy shields, its jagged design meant to intimidate. Red markers highlighted its key systems, shield generators, engines, weapons, and its interdiction field, a device that had pulled us out of FTL. Beside it, a smaller, sleeker model of our transport ship appeared. 7 railgun turrets were highlighted in blue, their rotation arcs overlapping to create an impressive field of fire. "Impressive," murmured the Hethak. "They've already locked targets on every critical system." The captain's voice returned, this time laced with dry humor. "For those curious, our ship's armor has an adaptive response to energy weapons. We'll take minimal damage. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show." The tactical display shifted as the pirate dreadnought opened fire. Beams of energy lanced out, striking the human ship's hull with blinding flashes of light. I tensed, expecting alarms or shouts of alarm, but the humans remained unbothered. "Their first mistake," someone muttered. The railguns rotated into position, their movements almost leisurely. The first volley was fired. 7 thunderous booms reverberated through the ship as the slugs streaked across the void. Projectiles struck their targets with unerring accuracy, shattering the pirates' shields in bursts of energy. "First volley," the Zarnik said, marking it down on their betting list. The pirate ship retaliated, firing another salvo of energy beams. But this time, The damage to the human ship was negligible. The hull seemed to absorb and adapt, glowing faintly before hardening once more. The second volley followed. Another series of deafening booms. The railguns targeted the dreadnought's engines and interdiction generator. Explosions rippled across the pirate vessel, leaving it adrift but still intact. "Second volley," someone whispered, their voice tinged with awe. By the time the third volley fired, the dreadnought was defenseless. The railguns systematically disabled its weapons systems, leaving it incapable of further aggression. The tactical display showed the ship drifting, its power flickering weakly as it struggled to stabilize. "3 volleys," the Zarnik said, turning to me with an approving nod. "Looks like you called it, Aloramian." The human captain's voice returned, this time lighter. "Target neutralized. No need to worry, passengers. We'll attach a retrieval beacon for assembly forces to pick up the stragglers. Let them deal with the paperwork." A few humans laughed, their humor as sharp as ever. Meanwhile, a retrieval drone was launched, attaching a glowing beacon to the pirate ship. Its signal would alert nearby assembly patrols, ensuring the dreadnought's crew would face justice. As the tactical display shut down and the passengers resumed their activities, I found myself reflecting on what I had witnessed. The humans had fought with precision, dismantling their enemy without unnecessary destruction. It was ruthless, yes, but also merciful in its own way. They could have obliterated the dreadnought. Instead, they left it adrift, a testament to their strength and restraint. I had placed the winning bid, but more importantly, I had gained a deeper understanding of humanity. They thrived in conflict, not out of cruelty, but because it was in their nature to overcome, to survive. And as I returned to my quarters, I couldn't help but feel a growing respect for my strange, indomitable companions. If you love engaging stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with all the latest episodes from FY Stories.